Hello everyone, my name is Moji. You're watching a Bitcoin Bubble news channel. In the last 2 weeks, there has been a huge change in the world of crypto politics. So it all began with a rather strange letter from the White House saying that President Biden would not allow SAB 21 to be overturned. And to think about it, the president already said he was going to cancel a complicated accounting rule that the SEC had put forward. You're like, why Donald Trump, on the other hand, says, wait a minute, I'm going to be the crypto president. A lot of people like Bitcoin. I don't really like it, but you do, I tell you. I'm going to back you up. I am going to be your leader. It's been years since I've been in DC, telling people that this should be a problem for both parties. It needs to be a problem for both sides. Guys, I'm telling my Democratic friends, never poke the beast again. That's when the beast was poked, right? What's up with the Democratic Party? They've chosen to be the party that doesn't like dogs, right? In the United States, there are more crypto owners than dog owners. A lot of them only vote for one subject. That was it for that week. On crypto Twitter, you might have seen it. Things got rough. It almost turned into a test of innocence. If you don't back the GOP, you're not really a crypto guy. And the Democrats knew about that. What did you see then? After selling $2.1 billion worth of shares, Michael Dell, CEO of Dell Technologies, left a cryptic message on social media that seemed to hint at possible Bitcoin investments. Dell's net worth went up to $120 billion when his tech stock went up. Now that $5.83 billion is open, there is more talk about investing in Bitcoin. Dell's tweet and following actions have led to rumors that the company is investing in Bitcoin. Dell cashed out $2.1 billion, but he kept 58% of his company, which shows that Bitcoin has access to funds. Based on how things have done in the past, analyst Joe Consorti says that even a 1% investment in Bitcoin could double profits. Even though famous investors like Warren Buffett were skeptical, MicroStrategy's $6.33 billion Bitcoin profit shows that these kinds of investments can pay off. First, you saw 9 Democratic senators vote against SAB 121. This is an obscure accounting rule that would let TradeFi guardians into our space. That is a big deal, especially since Senator Schumer is from New York, which has a lot of crypto jobs. He is the leader of the Senate. Either the same day or 2 days later, the SEC tells all the people who want to start an ETF to get ready what took place. I have no idea. Someone from the White House must have called Mr. Gensler and told him, dude, you need to change your mind. It was the only thing that made sense. I wasn't there, of course. I'm not sure. But we're about to get an ETF. The great thing about a decentralized organization is that it's decentralized, right? I think Brian Armstrong has 16 people in Washington, D.C. who are always pushing and pressing. There are many crypto business owners with a stake in the game, as well as those who don't have a stake but are still writing letters to the right players. I'd like to think Galaxy had something to do with that, but we can't give them all the credit. Maybe you could tell me some of what went on behind the scenes. But now I want to talk about ETFs. That means that all of the spot Bitcoin ETFs have lost about $58 billion in the first 5 months of trade. I looked through all of those 13F forms. It was my job to find out which Wall Street banks and hedge funds were now investing in Bitcoin through these spot Bitcoin ETFs. And there aren't many. And for those who do, I think Morgan Stanley has around 270 million pieces of paper. I also got in touch with these banks and asked them if this was a support for Bitcoin as an asset class. It was clear from the responses I was getting that their wealthy clients who use their wealth management services wanted this. They were giving in to what their customers wanted instead of supporting the asset itself. It's Goldman Sachs that you work for. You always talk to organizations. What do they mean? Let's talk about the 2 most important things that will change crypto in the US, this accounting rule being reversed and the market infrastructure bill. In what way does the rule work? It lets the biggest vaults in the world, like Bank of New York and State Street, start holding crypto. And the market structure bill is bad for me because Citibank will call headhunters the next day to find my workers. Wall Street as a whole hasn't joined the digital markets yet, though, because regulators aren't sure what will happen. People are afraid that the Federal Reserve will call them and say, you can't do that. They are afraid that the SEC will be after them. The worry that, like most crypto companies, they will get a Wells warning. As soon as that goes away, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Citibank, Jefferies, and everyone else will rush into this area. In some ways, I hope it gets pushed back a little so that guys like us can get stronger. That's when the big show happens with the announcement of who will serve the world. So yes, the first people to say I want some of this were wealth management clients. Just so you know, firms like Morgan Stanley have to wait a little over 3 months for their salespeople to be able to call the guy in the white hat in the front row and suggests that he put 2% of his account into Bitcoin. Also, keep in mind that not only people buy Bitcoin, they get orange-pilled. I thought Bitcoin was sold. There's an army, and you're all part of it, that persuaded someone to believe in crypto, like Bitcoin, a theory, or a Ripple, if you're Brad Garlinghouse, right? This is a very interesting point. It's something new, so it should almost always be sold, right? Larry Fink was hit with orange pills. He didn't just wake up and say, God, let me start a Bitcoin company. 10 to 12 people worked hard to persuade some to see why Bitcoin was important for the future. Now, hundreds of salespeople at Morgan Stanley and other RIAs across the United States are learning the story on their own and calling their clients to tell them to put 2% of their account in stocks. What's making you scared? We are beginning to talk about that. We're talking about 10 years, not 10 weeks. People really like two things. We all know that registered investment advisors have $45 trillion in wealth from the baby boomers. That's a huge amount of money. This age group has the most money of any in the history of the world. They are going to die. He was caught and sold, just like Charlie Munger died. Younger people are getting that money, and young people like crypto. A new breed of wealthy people is coming of age, and they are really happy with digital assets. They are comfortable with them, they like them, and they think this is their asset class. That's the one thing. The second thing is that our government is shitholes. Like our government spends too much money all the time. Both on the left and the right, Congress is not doing its job as a citizen. They spend too